So it's Andrea Bell, Andrea, B as in boy, Eall.
Can you tell us what happened in court today, please?
Yeah, so today the defendant was brought out and arraigned by the court because she wasn't present during the probable cause finding in magistrate's court when the bond was set.
Did you file a motion this morning or anything new this morning in court?
No, nothing new this morning. I was prepared to argue bond, but that wasn't discussed today.
Why was that not discussed today?
That was a defense call.
So what's next now?
Next, we'll continue on with the case. This is still an active and open investigation. We're working very closely with the sheriff's office to make sure that all of our T's are crossed and our I's are dotted. But this case has affected every single person that's touched it so far.
The defense mentioned something about a mental health expert. He's filing something. Does that affect what the prosecution's doing with this case? Or?
No, it doesn't affect how we're going to proceed with this case. We need to make sure that we have a very thorough investigation, and we want to make sure that justice is done in this case.
Are y'all looking at mental health as an issue?
Absolutely. Everything is open right now.
You mentioned that anyone that's touched this case has been affected. What do you mean by that?
It's just such a shocking fact pattern, especially considering that this is a mother-daughter relationship that was violated. And so every officer, every prosecutor who's dealt with the case so far, it's hard to leave that at home.
Can you take us through the charges and what are the allegations of this case?
Sure. So she's been charged with capital murder because she murdered a child under the age of 10. And I know that y'all have some of the information so far, but she brought the child to the hospital, her daughter to the hospital, and the daughter had obvious visible injuries. And she told police that she suffocated her daughter.
Was town aware to the district attorney's office? Have you all had any issues with her, any knowledge of her, I should say?
She does have a prior criminal record with an assaultive background.
In Harris County?
Yes.
Against her children or against who?
I don't have those details at this time.
Is anyone else going to be looked at in this case? Some people were asking because she didn't have custody of the child, if the parent who did or family member who did would be looked at for negligence?
So we're looking at all people who were involved in taking care of the child because, again, we want to do a thorough investigation. But right now, she's the only person that we have reason to charge.
When is the next hearing? Did they say? Or
they didn't say. I can get that information for y'all.
You filed a motion, Dee's office did, for a proof evident hearing. Was that addressed with the judge?
It wasn't, because when the magistrate's court set a $15 million bond, that was a very sufficient bond, we found. We don't believe she's going to be able to make a $15 million bond, and our no bond would only be good for about 60 days. And so this $15 million bond is sufficient.
if there is a mental health evaluation, and depending on if it comes back that there is some issues there, does the charge change at all, or?
The charge doesn't change, but we would have our mental health division of our office involved with the case.
Can you explain this to us? She's already admitted guilt, but it is a capital case, how that plays out?
Sure. So we want to make sure that every statement given by a defendant is corroborated, especially when there are mental health issues involved. And so that's why we're still doing a very thorough investigation with this case. But the case will proceed as normal in terms of I need to make sure that after we get all of our evidence in, that that's given to the defense so that they can prepare an adequate and just defense for their client as well, because that's the only way that the system works.
Do you know if family's been interviewed at all in terms of background, or is that the next step for you all?
I know that the sheriff's office has been interviewing all of the witnesses that they can get in touch with.
Okay, thank you.